It's time for the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth, financial literacy educator and speaker, entrepreneur, and chairman of the board of Bank Information. Take charge of your financial future with Your Personal Bank. Now here's Ference Toth.
Welcome to the Your Personal Bank Show. Today, I got to tell you folks, I am excited. And the reason I'm excited, you're going to figure out really quickly. Those of you that have been listening to the show know that I do 2 shows a week, and I try to focus more on the personal bank concept on the first show of the week. The second one, I try to take a bigger picture of the economy, whatever affects our money, right? And that could be politics. It could be a lot of different things, okay? And what I'm excited about today is that I see the silent majority waking up. And what I mean by that is, it's no secret, I've not been happy about the direction our country has been taking for this past year or so. I'm a fiscal conservative. I mean, you just that. I know for a long time, I felt like I was a lone wolf, alone in the wilderness. It didn't seem like anybody cared about, and I'm talking about any political party, any candidate, anybody cared about having some fiscal responsibility. It's because things have gotten so out of hand, and sometimes I guess that's what it takes to wake people up and get their attention. I see a great movement happening. It's like a revolution. It's a revolution of ideas. I'm going to use a couple examples, and you'll see in a few minutes why it ties into our money and the economy and all those kinds of things, because all these things are important, okay? One of the coolest things I saw, there's a little town called Silverton, Colorado. It's a little place. I love that place. I've been there. I can't even count how many times visiting there. Summertime mostly. I've even been there at Christmas time. It's a beautiful little town high up in Colorado. It's a little old mining town in southwestern Colorado. It's something like 9,000 foot elevation, so they get a lot of snow. And I just love that place. And it's anyway, the point is, they had recently, I'm not sure how they got this guy elected. He's the mayor of Silverton. It's a small town, right? And about a year ago, apparently, he was trying to ban the Pledge of Allegiance in the town hall meetings. Well, then COVID hit, and they started meeting online, and so it became less of an issue. And oh, by the way, before COVID, their town council voted on whether they should continue, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the council voted 4-3 to continue. So then COVID hit. They weren't meeting in person and all that stuff. And understand, this is in Colorado. It's not a conservative bastion, okay? But anyway, so they just started meeting again, I guess, for the first time. And the first thing the mayor does is he decides unilaterally he wants to ban the Pledge of Allegiance again, even though the town council had voted to continue it a year before. Well, here was the cool part. So I guess whoever the next person was said they wanted him to make a comment, and he's like, okay. And she stood up and she started reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I love it. And not only that, he starts banging his gavel or whatever. You're out of order. You're out of order. And then apparently everybody in the room, all the citizens that were there, stood up and joined her, and they all started very loudly reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. It's that kind of thing that gives me hope that this country is not lost. It's not over yet. In fact, my belief, and I've said this over and over again, you cannot convince me that the majority of Americans agree with the direction our country has been going politically. It's not what they wanted. In fact, I've heard, we all know many people voted. The studies, the polls, everything showed repeatedly that the number one reason people voted for Biden was because he wasn't Trump. And it wasn't that they didn't like Trump's policies per se. They didn't like his personality. They thought that Biden was a nice older gentleman. He wouldn't be so bombastic. Maybe I don't know what the word is. And that's true. He's not. But very few of the people, and back to normal was his sort of his campaign slogan or whatever you will, Biden's. And even Biden himself said, hey, come on, man, do I look like a radical to you? Yet he's governed the most radical president so far in history. And there are many Biden voters, people who voted for him, that have remorse, voters' remorse. Because they're like, this is not what I voted for. I wanted a return to normal, not lurch left, not to lurch towards socialism or whatever it is you want to call this, okay? I've been incredibly frustrated seeing those things happen and seeing where we have a president who flat out lied to us. He misrepresented himself big time. And, people don't like being lied to. They don't like being misled. And maybe there's 20 or 25% of the folks out there that really are on the, I call them leftists, frankly. They're not even Democrats. They're not even liberals. They're not for free speech or anything, obviously, like your classic liberal. They're leftists. They Marxists, leftists, socialists, communists, whatever. I don't know. They want big government, right? They want something very different than what we've been. They want a dependency society. There's people dependent on the government rather than an opportunity society where someone can step up and do something better. My point is, seeing people stand up for their rights or getting fed up and saying enough is enough. There's a lot of stuff going on, still not happy about. I'm a fiscal conservative, like I said earlier. I don't like all the spending. But here's what's encouraging. I'm starting to hear a lot of other people say the same things. Again, I felt like a wolf in the wilderness, crying, howling in the wilderness by myself almost about our government spending too much money. Folks, I was upset with Bush, the second Bush, for spending too much money. I mean, that gives you an idea, okay? I've been upset for quite a while about the amount of money our government spends, all right? I'm truly a strong, staunch fiscal conservative. My attitude is, leave me alone. You do your job, protect our borders, and do the stuff that the Constitution tells you you're supposed to do, and leave me alone and let me live my life and do what I want to do. Isn't that what's in the Declaration? Pursuit of happiness? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? I mean, wasn't that what our country was founded upon? That's what I want to live. And when I see encroachment on that, it frustrates me. It angers me. It upsets me. So these things like the town of Silverton truly, truly are encouraging. And again, not conservative bastions. Here's where the battle is going to be won, folks. And this is where we have an opportunity to change things in a very significant way, and I believe in a positive way, including the fiscal getting our government to be fiscally responsible. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wow, if they could have some fiduciary responsibility, wouldn't that be incredible? How about a balanced budget amendment? Think of that. Oh, if we want to really throw out our dream list, right? How about a flat tax? Or I'll give you one even better than that. How about a sales tax? A national sales tax, but no income tax. Why do I was talking to some folks about this, and I've come to realize, I know it may sound like a pipe dream, but maybe it isn't. My point is, we're in a significant sea change, I believe, in attitude. And people have gotten fed up, and the direction our government's gone is too far. Why do I feel like a national sales tax would be so awesome? Within reason. Obviously we got to keep them in line. Well, then that would give you the freedom to decide how much tax you paid. If you made a bunch of money and you wanted to be a miser and live a miserly existence and not spend any money, that's your choice. That's fine. But if you want to go out and buy anything, gas, food, housing, clothing, whatever, okay, or a fancy boat or a car or whatever it is, well, you're going to pay some tax. So you determine the level of taxation. How's that for freedom? How's that for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? I don't know if it'll ever happen, but we can sure dream here a little bit, because I believe 20-25% of Americans believe in this vision, direction our country's going, our current leadership is pursuing, the leftist leadership. I also believe, and pay attention or actively involved in politics. I believe there's about 20 or 25% on the right. I'm in that category, certainly fiscally so, who would like to see something different than what we have, more conservative, less government, small government, opportunity, land of opportunity, space society, and pay attention and are actively involved in politics and pay attention. The key isn't the 20% on each 20 or 25% or so on each end. It's the 50 or 60% in the middle. The key to success here is the middle. And the middle half or so, generally speaking, don't pay that much of attention to politics. They're not all that involved. Don't really want to be. They sort of kind of, frankly, want to be left alone, but not can't be bothered with paying too much attention. They're focused on the ball game or their life or their family or the kids or business or whatever it is they're focused on, right? But all this stuff that's been going on has forced them to pay attention. I mean, you take the guy who's into sports, for example. I mean, one of the stations I work with has the producer I work with, they also produce and do a show on a sports station. So they talk a lot about sports when I go into the station to record. And they were, it was amazing how involved and frustrated they were when the COVID shutdowns occurred and all this stuff. It forced them to deal with political stuff, and then BLM and, all that stuff, Black Lives Matter in the sports world. They were forced to face it. It was shoved into their face, okay? Some of them resented it. Some of them started paying attention, whatever it may be. But the bottom line is they're now paying attention a lot more than they ever were. And that's a good thing because, again, the vast majority, I believe, of Americans do not want what our current leadership is doing for the most part. I mean, 75%, for example, polls have shown 75% plus of all Americans, all stripes, are against illegal immigration. 75 to 80% of all Americans, all stripes, want voter ID. They want to have secure, safe elections that we can count on. So those are winning topics, is what I'm trying to say. Those are things that the vast majority of us agree on. And that's encouraging. If we can get, since they are awake and paying attention now because they were forced to, hopefully they're going to listen. They're also, I'm hearing the fiscal stuff, all the money that's being spent, the vast sums. Many people who in the past weren't paying much attention are starting to now because they're realizing the impact it's going to have on their lives and their kids' lives going forward. So this is an exciting time to live. This is an exciting time to get involved and be a part of something. I'm going to share some more of this in the next segment, so I'm really going to encourage you to stay tuned and not miss it.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. And today, like I said earlier, I'm excited. I'm enthused. I'm encouraged. All of those things. I shared with you in the first segment the situation with the Silverton Town Hall meeting. That's awesome. People standing up en masse, pledging and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance after the mayor banned it and just into open defiance. I love that. That's standing up for your rights and your free speech. Let me give you another one that's encouraging. Look, if you haven't paid any attention to the Loudoun County School District in Loudoun County, Virginia, Google it, look it up. It's amazing what's happening there. So the bottom line, the short story of it, those that haven't paid attention, but I really encourage you to do so because this is America in action. This is patriots standing up for their country and parents. So what's happened is, bottom line is, the school district was promoting critical race theory, all these kinds of things. There was a gym teacher who refused. He basically told the school board, I refuse to tell the kids that boys are girls and girls are boys. That's it's against my religion. It's against my beliefs. It's lying to the kids. I'm not going to do it. It's not right. I won't do it. He basically got fired. Then he went to a federal judge who reinstated and required the school that said his First Amendment rights were violated, and he forced the school district to give his job back. Well, the school district decided to appeal the decision, and they're fighting it. Frankly, in my opinion, we'll see what happens. I think they're wasting their time and money, and they're being very arrogant about it. So they're having these open meetings. The parents are starting to get involved because they're like, wait a minute, what's going on in my school? Hundreds of parents are now showing up at these school board meetings and protesting racism, frankly. And what I mean by racism, okay, let me define it, because, these days, a lot of people can mean anything. Racism, in its most basic term, and what I mean by it, is treating people differently because of the way they look. That's racism. So you don't treat people differently. I mean, it was Martin Luther King himself who said, I dream of the day that my children will be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Yet this school district is teaching something different. So the bottom line is the parents they had an open discussion recently, not very recently, and the parents were just, frankly, blasting the school board. And they were and one of them was talking, and they're all cheering because they were basically stating, look, it's bigoted. It's pathetic that you're teaching hate and racism and teaching our kids to treat people differently just because of the color of their skin. That's unethical. It's wrong. Frankly, it's illegal, folks. It's against the Civil Rights Act. You're not supposed to treat people differently because of the way they look, right? Well, anyway, the school board, to add fuel to the fire, didn't sit back and just listen to these people. They cut the guy's mic off and canceled the meeting and just walked out. So the parents stayed for hours cheering, singing the national anthem, doing all kinds of things to show the support, and then the school board called the cops on the parents and called it an unlawful assembly, and in fact, I guess 2 of them got arrested. Now, folks, I don't know what's going to happen as a result of all this, but what do you think is going to happen? These folks, these parents are already riled up. They're organized. They had signs. They're getting fired up. And then you do that to them on top of it? I'm excited. I'm curious to see how this all plays out. The key is people, and by the way, there's recall petition. They're yelling for these. They're calling for these school board members to resign, and if they're also starting up petitions to do recall elections. I mean, I think these school board members are toast. Frankly, I can't imagine any of them being reelected at this point. We'll see. We'll see. Just like the mayor in Silverton, I'll be shocked if he got reelected. I think he's toast. My point is, though, people are standing up for their rights. They're taking back control of their country. And one of the biggest problems or challenges, why all this stuff has been happening, I was shocked. I didn't see this coming. And the reality is, talking to so many people, all parts of the country and all that, we were asleep at the wheel. I'm including myself in that. We were focused on my family, my business, all that kind of stuff. Didn't pay much attention to what the government was doing, what the local government was doing, local school board. I mean, we did with the school board because of our kids when they were in school. They're not anymore. They've been doing online school for a couple of years now and doing outstanding. We know what their curriculum is. We had one of the better school districts, but we still moved out because we didn't like some of the things they were doing. But, I mean, other than that, I wasn't paying all that much attention. I had no idea that there was these people that believe in something totally different in terms of a vision for our country than I do, and I think the majority, by far, who got themselves slowly and consistently into these positions of leadership in education, in the media, Hollywood, business, government, all these different places, right? And we were asleep at the wheel, and we kind of let it happen. I don't think that's going to happen anymore going forward. People are paying attention, and it's a fight. It's a fight for our country. It's a fight for our livelihood. It's a fight for our economy, our way of life. Look, folks, if we have an overreaching government that basically is involved with its tentacles in just about every area of our life, whatever you want to call that, do you think that's going to be a growing, booming economy? Look at other countries that have those types of governments in place. Anywhere in Western Europe is a good example. My point is, look at their economies. Do you want their economy to be like ours? Sluggish, slow, minimal innovation, things like that? Or do you want to lead the world? and lead the world in most everything, frankly, but economically, certainly, lead and create things and create a better environment, a better life for everyone, really, just about everyone that wants to be involved in the system, right? Look, if it's a land of opportunity, you have the opportunity to do more. Okay? Nothing's promised to you. It's not going to be spoon-fed to you. I always say, look, people say, you've done well in your career. Yeah, I didn't sit around and watch the Flintstones at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And I joke about that today, but I used to actually say that 20 years ago. I went to work. I reached out to people. I did what I needed to do to build my business, okay? And was it hard work? Yes, absolutely. Was there any guarantee of success? No, none. But I knew that if I committed myself and worked hard and stayed focused and worked smart, okay, you got to do all those things, that eventually I would find success. And I made mistakes and I lost money and I did things wrong at times and learned from it and changed my ways. And folks, nothing was given to me. If you listen to some of my previous shows, this whole white privilege thing I think is a joke. My dad escaped from a communist country. I'm a first generation of an immigrant. Okay, my mom was a school teacher. Her family was poor Irish potato famine folks, and just never did a lot. I mean, they were not poor, but there's no wealth in the family at all. No, nothing was handed to me or us at any point. So the bottom line is I worked for it. And I could, because this is the land of opportunity. And so many people are like that. All right, stay tuned in the next segment, I promise. I'm going to talk about some other things, solutions, and things that you can do, and more about what we're excited about for the future. So don't miss it.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. And like I've been saying earlier, I'm excited today. I'm encouraged about the direction of what I see happening. There's a great awakening, I believe, we're seeing in America across the country. And it's normal people stepping up and saying enough's enough and standing up for their rights. It's people in leadership doing those kinds of things. Many of our governors have really stepped up and done. I mean, hey, again, fiscal conservative. Something like, I think 25 governors have rejected federal monies for the extra federal monies for unemployment because they want their states to get back to the people to get back to work rather than staying at home like Massachusetts is doing, where a family of four, a husband and wife, 2 kids, can actually earn up to $147,000 per year in government benefits, everything combined. And 19 states you can get over $100,000 a year. That's crazy, folks. That's just nuts. There's no logic to that, no common sense to that, unless you think about why. Why would some in our government want to be paying folks, a family of four, $100,000 a year to stay home and do nothing? There's one simple answer, and it's they want those people to be dependent on them so they can be in control. It's about power, folks. The progressive movement, it's been around for, a lot of people put it back starting with Woodrow Wilson. So we're going back nearly 100 years. It's been a long process of trying to gain more and more government control, which is directly opposite to what the founding fathers and what the founders of our country wanted and what we were founded on, the purpose of our country, why we broke away from England, why we fought a war, why we did all the things that we did as a country. Okay? It's direct opposition to that. The bottom line is they want more government involvement in our lives. They want to have more power. It's a power grab, folks. That's what progressivism is. It's simple as that. So the cool thing, the exciting thing is people are waking up to that fact. They're waking up and realizing, look, I don't want some nameless, faceless bureaucrat in Washington telling me how to live my life. That's not the vision I have for my country. Certainly isn't what I have. And what I'm saying is this creates some optimism about things that can be done, what would likely happen for the future. Folks, we're getting ready to celebrate Independence Day soon, okay? I see we're involved in a war of ideas. I see a revival, if you will, of the American idea of being a land of opportunity, not a land of dependence, okay? And that's awesome, okay? That is totally awesome to see that happening. And I feel like I'm kind of on the front lines of this war, if you will. I'm certainly with the radio show and sharing this with lots of people, and the comments I get. And again, thank you. They've been overwhelmingly positive. And even if they weren't, that's okay. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. And then of course with the financial side, with what I do with Your Personal Bank isn't just about a product. It isn't. I was talking to a potential sponsor just a day or two ago about this. They wanted to be a part of the show because of the vision. The vision here isn't about just having somebody get a product. Folks, it's about you taking control of your money, taking control of your finances, taking control of your future. People, economic freedom is part of being free. If you're not economically free, you're not free. All right? You may be free politically, you may be free in some other areas, but you're not free. And I'm just saying, giving your money to someone else to count on them to do a good job for you may work, may not. Oftentimes you don't control a lot of control. And buying into, I always say, the government system for retirement, that's the IRA 401k world, right? Should you invest in an IRA 401k? Depends on your situation. It isn't something everyone should do. If there's a company match, take the free money if that's your only option. If the company will pay you more in lieu of a 401k, take that. Why not pay it's paying the tax on the seed or the harvest. Should you pay the tax on the money earned now and move forward and let it grow tax-free for the rest of your life? Or should you defer it, kick the can down the road, and pay taxes down the road? Well, the answer to that question is, do you think taxes will be higher in the future or not? If you've been paying any attention to our current administration, they're repeatedly telling us they're going to raise taxes. And if you see the amount of money they've been spending, they're going to almost have to be able to pay off some of the interest on the debt, right? So it doesn't even make logical sense to defer taxes, does it? If you have the option and the numbers make sense. We can accomplish that with Your Personal Bank. We can reduce taxes. We can reduce taxes for folks overall. This is on the front lines of economic freedom, folks. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. I'm going to focus more on economic freedom in the next segment. So I'm really, really going to encourage you to not miss it. Stay tuned.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
All right, we're going to wrap this up today. And again, it's an exciting day because I see people around our country standing up and saying enough is enough and starting to take back their freedoms. That's awesome. I believe we're seeing a revolution. And it's a revolution of ideas, but it's a revolution, folks. It's where our country has been drifting and drifting and drifting, and it's accelerated here most recently to the point people are saying, holy cow, this is not what I want. This is not what I want for my society, our country. None of that, right? This gives us a tremendous opportunity to look at where do we want to be in the future. Part of freedom is economic freedom. Life for liberty and the pursuit of happiness. That includes economic freedom, folks. Money isn't the most important thing in the world. And I'm a financial guy. I'm a business owner. I've been involved with this as a financial person or business owner over 25 years. I'm approaching 30 years. My entire adult life, basically. And what I want you to understand is it's not the only thing. It's not the most important thing even. But it's definitely one of those key things. And you're really, truly not free until you're economically in control. And I see so many people in economic bondage. There's the more obvious situations where, the people that live paycheck to paycheck or don't have any idea where their money's coming from or what they're going to do. Their head's in the sand, right? That's no way to live and accomplish anything. If you don't have a target, you're probably never going to hit it, right? So having a plan, having a goal, having a structure, something in place, automated, continuous, over time will build wealth. That's one of the key building blocks for building wealth. I think everyone understands that. And getting some accountability, getting some assistance from somebody to assist you and helping you, that dramatically increases your likelihood of success. Okay? But I see a lot of people, for example, who are most of their, if not all their money is tied up in things like IRAs and 401ks. I consider that economic bondage too. And a lot of you listening are going to be, what? It's not all your money, folks. In other words, if you have money in a traditional IRA, 401k, 457 plan, TSA, whatever it may be, annuity even, some of the money, the gains is certainly at least, but some of the money is subject to tax, if not all of it, right? Now, can you tell me what the tax rate's going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever? And the answer is no, it's impossible to determine. We don't know what the economic situation is going to be. We don't know what the political situation is going to be. It's basically sitting there and saying, well, I'm going to put this money away, and when I take it out, I'm going to access it for my retirement, which I need it, or I'm going to want it, and you, Mr. Government, is going to tax it, and but it's okay. You decide how much you're going to tax me on it later. Tell me when that happens, because I trust you. You'll do the right thing. Look, if you trust Congress, our federal government, in giving you a fair shake and taxing you at a fair rate and allowing you to keep most of your money and not inflate it too much, fine. Stay with the plan. But if you're not so sure, those nameless, famous, faceless bureaucrats in Washington, you're not too sure what they're going to do. And I think a lot of people have been woken up to that fact, particularly this past year. What are they going to do? What tax rate are they going to hit us with down the road? How much is inflation going to impact my portfolio, these dollars, the buying power of it all? Well, if you want to offset it, take it out of their control. That's one of the smartest things you can do, if that's your concern. In other words, take it out of the IRA and 401k. And people say, well, I can't do that because I got penalties or taxes or whatever. Look, if you've got taxes, here's the first thing you need to understand about a traditional IRA or 401k. It's 100% taxable in most cases, which means you're going to pay tax no matter when you take the money out, right? Today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, or when you die. The taxes are going to be paid, right? Now, there's smart ways, strategic ways to access it to reduce the amount of taxes. And one of the things I tell people is, look, do you want to be strategic or do you want to be reactive? In other words, if you don't have a plan, do you think the IRS has one for you? And do you think the IRS's plan is to your benefit or theirs? I mean, those answers are pretty obvious, right? My point is, have a strategic plan. What is your distribution plan? How can we minimize the taxes on this account? Many people call those ticking tax time bombs, by the way. So how do we diffuse the bomb is what I'm trying to say. And how do we diffuse the bomb strategically and minimize the amount of tax that you're going to have to pay? I mean, folks, you're going to have to pay tax on it, okay? I don't think, in most cases, there's very few options to get away from it completely. But you certainly can reduce it. And look, if you're strategic about it and smart about it and you keep the tax bill to a minimum, two things are going to happen. One, you're going to have more money to spend, right? And live on and supplement retirement or whatever, right? Two, if you're giving less to the government, that means they can waste less, right? If you're not happy with what they're doing, if you're a fiscal conservative like myself, you're not particularly keen on how they're spending our money, not their money. They don't remember, the federal government has no money. They either tax us or print more. That's it. If we're not particularly happy about the way they're spending it, why give them more than we need to? Let's give them the legal minimum. I'm not talking about doing anything illegal here or unethical. There are tax rules out there. My wife is one of those that says all the time, life is a game. The key to succeeding is learn the rules. That's how you win the game. You need to learn how to play the rules first. And the tax code is extraordinarily complicated and changes often. There's I've been told, something like 4,000 changes to the tax code every year on average. That's a bunch, right? It's hard to keep up with. My gosh, I'm in the business, and it's hard for me to keep up with. In fact, I don't know all the tax code. I'm not a tax expert, but I do know certain aspects of it on how to use annuities and life insurance and investment tools like that can help someone strategically minimize their taxes. It's not complicated on how we do it. And it can be done, like I said, in a strategic and smart way. And I personally believe it's your patriotic duty to do what you can to take care of your family, you and your family, more than taking care of the IRS. It's kind of that simple, okay? And those are the kind of things that you do to start building economic freedom, where you're not reliant on someone else. You're not reliant on the nameless, faceless bureaucrats in our federal government. I believe that our biggest challenge are those career bureaucrats. I think they're far more devastating toward the future of our country, the future of our money, our ability to earn, grow, and keep money and pass it on to the next generation than any elected person is. Obviously, the elected officials have some impact, but the reality is it's those bureaucrats that are really cause us the biggest challenges many times. All right? And obviously, they believe in big government. They believe in government, right? They work for it. It's where their bread is buttered. It's hard to argue with. I get where they're coming from. Just doesn't mean I have to voluntarily give more than my fair share. I served in the military to support the freedoms that we still have. And I hope we continue to have, not only for the rest of my lifetime, but my kids' lifetime and their kids. Okay? And beyond that, frankly. The bottom line is, take control of your money. Have your money work for you. Have access to your money. You should be able to have access to the majority of your money at any given time. You should be able to know the tax liability on it or minimize it. And if you can get it to zero, all the better. There's a book called The Power of Zero. I've recommended it many times to David McKnight. Just about, if you have an IRA or 401k, read that book. If you haven't, it's eye-opening. And then most of the time when people read that book, then they call me because they're like, look, you're right. I didn't realize I had such a problem. Holy cow, I need to do something about this. And folks, the problem is only increasing and getting worse and bigger as our government gets bigger and spends more money. Look, I'm excited about the future. I think what it is I'm excited about the medium and longer term future. But the problem is we got to get through the current short term, don't we? Because right now we have, in my opinion, an out of control, overreaching government who's trying to get involved in every aspect of our lives that they can. And they're trying to increase their power and take more of our money. I don't think there's anyone that can argue with that logically. And we've got to do everything we can to get our money to grow for us, maximize its capability, maximize the liquidity, get positive arbitrage. In other words, get our money to work for us more than one way. So many people say, well, I can make a better return over here. Or they want to get rich. Everyone wants to get rich quick thing, right? Look, if you're trying to invest your money elsewhere, great. You got something that works and makes you money, great. But run it through the personal bank first. In other words, pick up the positive arbitrage. Pick up the 2.5% annually on average. Compound. Folks, you're going to have more money. You're going to have, if you live a couple decades or so, you're going to have double the amount of money doing this rather than not, because the extra positive arbitrage, the extra return. Look, and if your other investment, people get excited, things that go really well, that's awesome, but they don't always do that. And sometimes they go really well for a while, and then they reverse on you. No matter what happens, whether they do really well or not so well, you're still earning some money on your money. You're getting your money to grow at all times. You're also reducing overall taxes because this is a tool that can grow the money tax-free, access it tax-free, and pass it on to your heirs tax-free. So not only you can make a difference for yourself, but also for your heirs, the next generations, and whatnot. If you're subject to taxes, you're not doing that. Not nearly as effectively as you could. You could do so much more with a few simple, basic changes. Folks, it's about freedom. It's about taking control of your money. It's about gaining economic freedom. It's about not counting on someone else or the government or somebody else to bail you out or take care of you or be dependent on them. It's about being self-sufficient. It's about building something for yourself, for your future, for your family, for the next generations. It's about gaining some pride in what you do because you can now do more than you could do before. Your personal bank helps you do all those things and more. So as I always tell people, if you have questions, go to our website, yourpersonalbank.com. Listen to any of the previously recorded shows. There's over a year's worth of show. In fact, it's like 2 years worth of shows there. All kinds of topics, all kinds of things you can get into that be of interest. They'll educate you, give you more information. Contact me. You can schedule a personal consultation at no cost. It's free. The funny thing is when people reach out to me and I call them or we schedule a go-to-meeting or a Zoom or whatever, they're like, wow, it's really you. And I said, yep, it's really me. And I really do reach out to everybody that I can. I do have a staff. I do have a team. But I try to reach out to everybody that contacts me and see what I can do to help them. And I can tell you with a very high percentage level, over 90% of the time, well over, I can help improve your financial situation, maximize your financial returns, give you positive arbitrage, minimize your taxes, and enhance your financial future for both you, your family, your business, and the next generation. As always, stay tuned to the Your Personal Bank show and contact me at yourpersonalbank.com.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. This show is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information. The presenter and guest on this program do not engage in legal, accounting, or tax advice. Professional advice regarding your situation should be sought if required. Products and writers may have limitations and may not be available in all states. Excessive unpaid loans may affect performance. Distributions may become taxable if not managed properly. Replacements may not be suitable for everyone. There may be charges when replacing coverage. Compare when considering a replacement. Dividend rates and baseline of credit rates may change. Contact yourpersonalbank.com for current rates.